Welcome. So today we're going to be continuing our discussion of kind of the value of place values in numbers. So we are working on longhand multiplication of numbers. And we want to you've probably seen this before, you have the process in your mind, and we're revisiting this so that now that we have a little bit more experience with place value, so that we can try to develop a little bit greater understanding and dig into it a little bit more. Really try to understand what we're doing instead of just memorizing a process. So let's start with an example. Let's try 15 times 32. So what we've been kind of taught to do is you multiply the 2 by the 5, then the 2, so 2 by 5, then 2 by 1, and then you multiply the 3 by 5 and the 3 by 1, and you do some placeholding and etc. So let's go ahead and do that. This is likely the way that you've been taught to do this in the past. We're just going to delve into it a little bit more. So I'm going to write out a longer version than what you've usually seen to really show what we're doing. So let's first note that we use zeros as placeholders. And the number of zeros reflects the place value of the digits. Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, this 1, that's in the tens digit. So the placeholder for tens is 1, 0. The placeholder for a hundreds digit would be 2 zeros. And we're going to do some examples to kind of firm up what I mean by that. But that's just the idea of these placeholders. So let's do the example because I think that'll firm up what you're thinking of here. So I'm going to do 2 times 5 first. These are both ones. I don't need to have any, they're in the ones place, so I don't need to have any placeholders. So 2 times 5 is 10. Next, I'd like to multiply 2 times 1. 2 is in the ones digit, ones place. But this 1 here, that's in the tens place. So I need 1 0 as a placeholder. And then I have 2 times 1, which is 2. The next thing I want to do is now that I've multiplied with the 2, I move on to the 3 times 5. 3, he is in the tens place. So I know I need 1 placeholder. The 5 is in the ones digit or ones place. I don't need any placeholder for him. So I don't need to add any zeros. But 3 times 5 is 15. Then I multiply the 3 times the 1. Okay, again, the 3 is in the 10 digit location, 10 place location. So I add 1 0 here. The 1 is also in that tens digit place. So I had to add another placeholder. So however many zeros, that's how you decide. It's the location of the number, the location of the digit, the 3, the 1, within the larger number tells you how many zeros you have to place. So 3 times 1 is 3. And then I add all of these numbers up, and I end up with 1 plus 2 plus 5 is 8. And 1 plus 3 is 4. So the answer, 15 times 32, equals 480. Now, this is probably a little bit of an expanded version of what you usually have seen. So this is what you may have seen in previous classes, and it does save a little space, although sometimes I think it can get confusing. So let's try 15 times 32. This is the space-saving version. I don't see any problem with the long version. I often get students, it seems like paper is this precious resource that they don't want to waste, and so they put everything really close together. Give yourself some space. Give yourself a little space. If you bought a notebook for this class, you have an entire notebook. Fill it, and then buy another one, and fill that one too, right? So I encourage you to give yourself plenty of space around your notes and between your notes, and not worry about that so much. Okay, but here's how students have usually solved this problem. So you do still the same process, you don't do it on 4 lines, you only do it on 2 lines. So you do 2 times 5, which is 10. You put a little 1 up here to indicate that you're saving that 1. Then you do 2 times 1, that gives you 2. Then you're moving on to the next guy. You put the placeholder there, and then you're done with placeholders. You don't do any more. You take 3 times 5, which gives you 15. And again, you put a little 1. And then you do the 3 times 1, which is 3, and that's there. Then you add them all up together. So you have 0, 1 plus 2 plus 5 is 8, and 1 plus 3 is 4. This is totally fine. It saves you a little bit of space. I just really want to caution you that you have to remember these little ones. You have to have a way to carry those ones, and you have to remember to carry them. If you don't, you're going to end up with a problem. So either of these is perfectly valid. You should do whichever one feels comfortable with you. Let's do a larger example so we can talk a little bit more about this placeholder thing. Again, we're really trying to develop an intuition for what does place value mean and how does it affect our problem. So let's talk a little bit, let's scroll down a little bit more here, and we're going to do another example. Let's do 126 times 234. So when we do each of these things, again, we're saying, we have 4 times 126, and then 30 times 126, and then 200 times 126. We really separate into 3 problems. So remember, that's what place value does. This is the same as 126 times 200 plus 126 times 30 plus 126 times 4. So that's really what we're doing when we do this long version, and that's what the placeholders give us, right? 234 equals 200 plus 30 plus 4, and that's what we're doing when we do this long process. So we always want to keep that in mind and kind of have that understanding of what's happening in the numbers versus memorizing a process. That also helps you to understand when I do, how many zeros I need to be adding. So that also helps us in that way. Let's go ahead. We're going to do the long way, and then we're going to do the paper saving way. So first we'll start with 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Then I'd like to do 4 times 2. 2 is in the 10-digit location, so I need 1 placeholder. So 2 times 4 is 8. Then I'm going to go further. I'm going to multiply the 4 by the 1. The 1 here is in the 100 place, so I need 2 placeholders there. 4 times 1 is 4. Now I'm going to move on to the 3. 3 times 6, well, the 3 is in the 10 location, so I do need a placeholder here. And 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 2. The 3 is in the 10 location, that gives me a 0. The 2 is in the 10 location, that gives me another 0. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Then my last one is going to be 3 times 1. The 3 is in the 10 place, so it gives me a 0. The 1 is in the 100 place, so it gives me 2 zeros. And 3 times 1 is 3. Whew, all right, we're closing in. Now we're going to have the 2 times the 6. Okay, 2 is in the 100 location, so I have to start with 2 zeros. But the 6 is here in the 1. There's nothing to the right of it, so I don't need any placeholders. 2 times 6 is 12. Then I have 2 times 2. Again, I got to look at the place. The 2 is in the 100 or the 100 place. So I place the 2 zeros there, and then this second 2, this upper 2, is also in the tens. There's one number to the, that's the way to think of it. There's one number to the right, it needs 1 0 as a placeholder. This lower 2 has 2 numbers to the right. It needs 2 zeros. Okay. 2 times 2 is 4. Then I'm multiplying the 2 by the 1. Again, the 2 has these numbers to the right, so I need 2 placeholders there. The 1 also has these 2 numbers to the right, so I need another 2 placeholders. And then 2 times 1 is 2. Whew, that's a lot of lines. But we're organized, we know where we're going, and we know that we didn't miss anything. And so that's one benefit of taking up all these lines, is that we make sure that we don't miss anything. So now I'm going to add them all up. So this first column has mostly zeros, but I got a 4 at the very top. So I got a 4 there. This next column, we have a 2 plus 8, that's 10, plus another 8, that gives me 18. So I have 8, and then I carry the 1. Now I have 1 plus 4 plus 1, well, that's 6, plus another 6 gives me 12, plus another 2 gives me 14. 4, and carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 1, that's 5, plus 4 is 9. And then here, our last number, we just have the 2. So 126 times 234 is 29,484. Would you like to see the shorthand version? Or I guess I don't call it a shorthand version, the paper saving version. So we do 126 times 234. And here we're going to just have 3 lines. We have a line for each of the lower, we have a line for each of our places. So we have a 4, we have a 3, we have a 2. We're just going to have 3 lines. So we begin with 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So we have 4 here, and then I put a little 2 here. 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to just put an 8 here. 4 times 1 is 4. Done. Now I move on to the next line, and I start with a placeholder. 3 times 6 is 18. So I'm going to do an 8 and a little 1. 3 times 2 is 6, so I'll just place a 6 there. And 3 times 1 is 3. Now I move on to the 2. I need 2 placeholders this time. 2 times 6 is 12, so I do the 2 here and a little 1. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 1 is 2. So it's totally up to you how you manage this, right? I have done exactly the same thing. Mathematically, these are the 2 equivalent things. It's just that I've been really, really deliberate in this longer version to show every single thing, every single line. And in this shorter version, I'm just saying, okay, well, I can just carry my little guys up here. As long as I don't forget them, I'm going to get the right answer. So this rightmost column, I get 4, and then I have 2 plus 8 plus 8, that's 18. Again, I have to carry the 1. So I have 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6, and then 12 and 14. I carry the 1 again. I have 1 plus 3 plus 1, that's 5, plus 4 is 9, and then I have the 2. So it's up to you how you handle this, but this is what we're really doing. And this is where these placeholders come from. They're not magic, and they're not just like a thing you memorize that you never understand why they're there. They live there, and we show that explicitly in this problem, and here we do it a little bit less explicitly. But they live there in order to show that we have a 0, right? 30, I'm saying it's 3 times 6 to get that 18, but it's not 3 times 6. It's 30 times 6. That's why I have to have that 0 there. So that is a little bit about place value. Again, if you are doing this as the homeschool curriculum for 7th grade, please see the description for the exercises out of the textbook that I think you should do. And if you are new to the program, go ahead and subscribe so you can get the daily updates as we move through the semester. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.